The broadcast is now starting.
Good afternoon,
All
everyone.
attendees are in listen-only
Welcome
mode.
to the ground shore demonstration of how to register and also how to purchase the RBS Siteguard. Now, the first thing we're going to examine is firstly just make sure everyone can hear me well enough. I'd like to point out that all questions will be taken at the end, and we'll try to get back to you as many as we can. And obviously, if there are any that we can't answer right away, we'll certainly email them to you as soon as possible. In terms of submitting your questions, there should be an option with this software to submit a question. As I say, we'll examine those at the end. And I'd also like to stress that anything that we discuss today should also be included in the RBS Environmental and Sustainability Guidance Note. Now, the first thing we're going to discuss is how to register for an RBS Siteguard. The first thing you'll need to do is visit the website. I'll just show you this again. So it's ordermaps.groundshore.com. Now, once you appear on this page, you'll have the option to select the Sign Up button. So you would simply select this. Now, obviously, my information is auto-populating, but naturally, the first thing you want to enter is your email address. Follow that with a password. Most of this should be relatively self-explanatory, but obviously at any time feel free to give us a ring on 08 444 159 000. That will take you through to the customer service team. And equally, you can always email at info@groundshore.com. So once you enter in your information, the next thing you want to do is select your industry. Now, this is actually quite imperative because the main alteration that affects your account will be what products are sort of presented to you initially, and the one that you want to select to ensure that you get the Siteguard sort of first will be surveying. Once you select the surveying option, you can populate the rest of the information as you see fit. We would also suggest that you set up an invoice account. This is obviously advantageous because it means that you don't have to enter in company card information every single time. Please be aware it can take us up to 24 hours to get this approved for you. However, again, if you are in urgent need of placing an order or simply just wish to accelerate the process, you can contact us at 08 444 159 000 or the info@groundshore.com address, and we'll do our best to accommodate your request and accelerate the approval. So once you've populated all your information, as you usually expect, all you need to do then is click Sign Up. Please obviously do also review the information in terms of tick boxes, i.e. would you like to receive updates about our products and also the terms and conditions that you're accepting. So once you've accepted that, should then be taken to the order platform as shown here. And obviously you then enter in your email, your password, and you simply select Login. So you now be presented with what we call a sort of home page. On your left-hand side, you have your basket, which is where any orders that you have initiated but haven't completed are saved. Your history, which is where any orders that you have completed are saved, and obviously you can then review these, search for a particular postcode or property, and also filter by date range. You can always view the order and re-download it. I should stress, however, as with any report via Groundshore, the Siteguard should be emailed to you on completion. So you shouldn't need to come in here and collect it, but it is always available if for some reason the email may be tardy or you simply wish just to, as I say, review the order at a later time. So at this point, we will hit Start a New Project. This is how you would initiate an order every day. Your reference, in this instance, we've been advised that you'll need to enter your PAV number. And this is just to ensure that for invoicing, etc., all of the projects are tagged with the same kind of reference here. So in this case, I'm just going to put RBS test. And then obviously with postcode, you have multiple options. I'm going to select something that's on our road. It's quite important to stress as well with the address search that despite the fact the postcode will often bring up the correct property, there may be occasions where you've entered in information in these other fields and it says address not found. Sometimes it's actually more straightforward just to put in the postcode. If you enter in more information, it can muddle the system, and especially if you sort of don't read the requirements here, you may end up putting in, say, a street name and number, at which point the software won't recognize both and it'll struggle to find the detail. So at this point you can simply select a line from the drop-down. As I say, this is something near our office. If for any reason there is still no address that matches what you're looking for, what we advise is that you look for a landmark or something that you recognize to be close to the actual site, highlight that from the address book, and then select Edit Address. As from here, you can create an address that's matching exactly how you want it to appear on the report. And then as you'll see on the next page, you'll navigate to the highlighted route, but obviously you can then select different outline from there, and I'll show you how that works. So assuming you are happy with the address as it is, you obviously have in your PAV number, you can select next. Now this is the mapping outline page used to identify the site, so we can pretty much just ignore these details here. Assuming, for example, that you are happy with the outline, the location rather, then you could simply just proceed to outline the site. But as discussed, if for some reason you come across a nearby address and you were actually looking for something, say over here, or a field that you hadn't been able to locate, you can simply drag the map. The cursor will follow, as you see, and then you can bring it above the new property or site area. Assuming we were happy with this number 4, you have many options at this point. You can simply double-click to highlight the outline, and then perhaps say double-click any adjoining shapes to ensure that they're included if they're required. You notice the area will be populating here as well. If it's a really unwieldy shape or it's made up of multiple polygons, you can select what we call either the auto site select, which again sort of just does the job of the double click, or the manual site select. This one offers you a box that you can then mold to any kind of site outline that you require. Again, you notice the red cursor flitting to the nearest line. We call that a sort of snap to point tool. And assuming for whatever reason you're happy with this outline. And lastly, you have the option to use the freehand polygon. And this, similar to the manual site, but rather than having a box that you manipulate, it allows you just to draw a freehand shape. You can just double click there to seal the shape. Even then you can manipulate it from there. An important thing to note is that the black corners, as you can see here, they move the existing points, and then the white circles here, they create new corners. So you could continue in theory, to just continue and make up a new shape very straightforwardly. So again, assuming we're happy with this outline, and this is what we required, just you can also hit undo and retract any kind of previous action as well as clear all. We'll just hit next. Now, this is what we were discussing when it comes to the favorites options. So if you make sure that you registered as a surveyor in the drop down, you will then be offered the appropriate products when you log in. Otherwise, you'll have to navigate to the reports tab and then locate the Siteguard report, the RBS Siteguard report, amongst all of the other reports that we offer. Obviously, it's not an insurmountable task, but it's just easier if you have it already populated in your favorites. So, as we do here, you would just hit add to basket. Now you can see that the price including VAT is £70. So if we hit next. Now this part's very important. You need to fill out this information as accurately as possible, as obviously this will be assisting our consultants in understanding the site. There are a couple of notes in terms of land use questions. So the first thing really to stress is that for mixed land uses, you need to select the most contentious option. So for example, if the site were to be a garage with a residential flat, then you want to select that it's a garage, as obviously that's the most important land use to consider for the risk assessment. Another point to make would be that refurbishments do not qualify as redevelopments. And lastly, if you could just provide all contact details that you have for the RBS relationship manager for the transaction. That obviously includes name, email, and phone number. So once we're happy with that, I'm just going to populate it with random letters just so I can proceed here. Forgive me, this is a rather crude way of doing things. Again, just as much as we've tried to clarify here, we have the notes. If for any reason you're nervous as you're doing the drop-downs and you're not entirely sure as to how to answer the questions, you can reach us on that number or email us. And we even do have a live chat option on the website as well. So assuming you'd filled these out as best as you could, you hit finish and pay. Finally, you come to the summary page. This is just to give you an idea of the outline that you've created so you can confirm that you have actually outlined the correct site. You can also double check the billing information, and there's also the option to add an additional delivery email. So for example, if you wish to have a colleague also receive the report, you simply input their email here. That'll be done. You also have the chance to review the address that you selected, and if again for any reason you may have forgotten to edit it correctly, you can always go back to stage 1 here and just correct that for yourself. The only other thing to note is that when you are trying to pay, it is quite important to remember that if you may have applied for an invoice account but it hasn't necessarily been approved yet, you may need to be presented with the option to pay by card. So again, you can give us a nudge, or perhaps if you just revisit the order by saving and closing it, which you can do up here, you could simply revisit it, say, in 24 hours, and the likelihood is the invoice option would be there, or you give us a nudge, as I say, and we'll get it done faster if we can. So assuming you were paying by invoice, you would simply click Place Order. Payment will go through. You're taken to your history page, and from here you can see that the report will now be generated. And obviously, this is when we suggest it can take up to sort of 24 hours, and then the report will be delivered to you. Now, there is also something else to mention, which is the RBS survey, which we do offer when the report comes back in need of further assessment. Now, this will normally be hyperlinked within the document, and the idea is that a valuer would then visit the site and provide us with further detail. So hopefully we could then amend the assessment. And yes, basically this survey is quite crucial and obviously needs to be filled out again as to the best of your knowledge.